If you ask somebody what makes us human, a lot of them would answer with our emotions and how we feel. Whether it be angry, sad, upset, excited, depressed, all of those are part of what makes us human and you can't really live without them. And how we show these emotions to one another varies very much from person to person. Some show it through their words and their writing, through the words they speak, through the clothing they wear. But one universal way that we all share emotion, it's through our facial expressions. It's so ingrained in our human psyche that we do it without really thinking. You'll react to something with your face a bit before you actually process and think about it. Now, in the context of an art piece or artworks, this is mainly shown most directly through the facial expressions of the subjects of your pieces, whether it be a portrait with a single person or an ensemble piece with multiple different subjects. Now, the most fascinating thing about how we as humans pick up an emotion through the facial expressions of art pieces is how little detail we actually need to pick it up on. Like, in this piece, it's a very photorealistic painting of a young child, and you can clear as day see like the bland sorrow expression portrayed by her face, but you can also look at this just simple sketch of a face with two dots and two lines and perfectly capture the boredom of this piece. Now, everything in between the spectrum of very photorealistic and very low detail, you can find cartoonish pieces like Agony by Jeffrey Isaac, where it's very exaggerated, but you can clearly see what's going on. And it can even be scaled down into this piece called Angry Eyes, where it's just a pair of eyes and you very clearly see the anger going through it, and you don't even need the rest of the face, you can just see it clear as day. Now, how does this all tie together into the Izzet League of Ravnica? Well, you gotta look at their colors first. Izzet is made up of red mana, which is passion, emotion, anger, but also excitement, love, and creativity. And they're also blue, which is kind of the opposite. It's very reserved, logical, you have to stop and think about what's happening, and you really have to study what's going on around you to process what little emotions you have. So, when you put these two colors together, they start clashing, hence why they're enemy colors. And in the Izzet League, it leads to a very sporadic, random, excited way of gaining knowledge while also expressing yourself through your science. And this internal struggle to need to release these emotions is very clearly shown through all of the faces of the Izzet League. Now, while it could be debated that the Gruul clans show more emotion than the Izzet League, I don't agree, because they show a lot of like anger and raw aggression, while the Izzet League, although they show that, they show a wide variety of emotions. Like, obviously if you look at Beamsplitter Mage, you can see the anger in his posture and the gritting of his teeth and the clutching of his eyebrows. But now if you look at Chemist's Insight, it's a more playful, fun, cocky way of saying like, oh, aha, I figured this out. And one cool thing about this piece is that she's not upside down. We're actually looking at this piece through her perspective, looking at her reflection turned upside down by the glass sphere in front of her, which blew my mind the first time I realized that, so hopefully I blew yours right now. And this same like playful, awestruck wonder can be seen in Erratic Visionary from the War of the Spark set, where it just shows this Izzet League member just getting an idea in the middle of a battlefield. He's like, got it, and even though people around him are dying and people are getting their sparks sucked out, he's just happy that he got a good idea. And you can tell just by the finger pointing, but mainly his face, that raised eyebrows, shocked look in his eyes. Now, the same feeling of like, oh, I got an idea and it worked, can be shown in a more cocky, arrogant way in Invent, where this goblin is just standing firmly in a superhero stance, looking up at what he just made, and it all works. And all this is told through that little cocky smile that he's got going on. If you look at its sister card, which is Invert, although it's not an Izzet League member, it's just a flame elemental that they're experimenting on, you can see the just shocked confusion as to why he's suddenly turning into ice, just by his face. And it's not even a very detailed or human face, it's just two eyes and a mouth, and you just perfectly get that information out of it. Now, another emotion that is shown through League Guildmage is a very stern, confident, like arrogant, but in the deserving kind of arrogant way, shown through her eyebrows, her sleek face, and the way she's just looking down at you, the viewer. Flux Channeler is a weird one because, for starters, I couldn't find a higher resolution picture of this piece, so it's just hard to look at her face directly, but I believe she's showing a bit of fear, but also power, as if she's like getting this to work, but she can't control all of it. Now, you could point to Gravitic Punch as an exception to this rule of facial expression showing emotion in the Izzet League members, but not really. If you zoom in closely to the actual piece, you can see a very serious, stern face through just the one eye being like aimed low with the eyebrows like scrunched up, the mouth closed, and the nose kind of just pointing outward. And it still shows emotion, determination, and like a will to fight from this Izzet member. Now, out of all of the Izzet pieces that I looked at, my absolute favorite has got to be a radical idea. Because we've all been there. You've just spent like hours working on something, whether it be a personal project, homework, a puzzle, something, and you got it. And you got it, and you figured it out, and you just get this rush of adrenaline and happiness. You just gotta show it somehow. And Radical Idea shows it. It's nothing but pure happiness that they just cracked this code open. Now, looking at it from a composition perspective, everything except her face isn't really that detailed. Like, yeah, there are little words through all the floor, but they're really in a more convoluted, messed up way. The scrolls are really basically drawn, and her clothing isn't really that ornate. And the light showing directly on her face as it's telling the viewer that this is where you need to focus, it's on her face. Now, while all these are pretty regular emotions that you would feel in your everyday life, there is one that is kind of exclusive to the Izzet League that they're famously known for, and that is their absolute insanity. Maximized Velocity has this goblin riding through the air at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and pretty sure he's gonna die once he crashes into something, but he doesn't care. It's just this wide-eye expression, mouth gaped open as if he's just ready to take all of this in. Because he just doesn't care, because he's just flat out insane. Quasi-Duplicate has this guy looking at a clone of himself, and he doesn't care. He's just saying, hey, what's up, me? Now in Sure Strike, you see this woman attacking and electrocuting this guy in a very graphic way in, like, the context of Magic cards. And she's just smiling with the biggest Joker-like grin you can think of. And I don't think any other guild, except maybe the Rakdos Guild, could pull off a smile like that in pure insanity. Now, we can't talk about the Izzet League, or any guild really, without talking about their second-hand man and their guildmaster. And in this case, the first one is Ral, Izzet Viceroy. And his title card, if you look at the way he's painted and presented, it's shown with rigidness as he's a straight vertical line upward through his spine. Very stern, direct look and very serious tone to him. But that's not really him, because if you look at the very next piece, which is Ral, Storm Conduit from War of the Spark, you can see his more raw, electric emotion being shown through his face and everything going on around him. Now, Ral is famous for always wanting to overtake Niv Mizzet, and this ambitious drive forward to control everything around him is shown through the card Command the Storm, where he is literally trying to bend the will of lightning around to his wishes, and his face is just nothing but raw determination in a amped up scream. This scream is then continued on the card for Explosion, where he is just screaming at Niv Mizzet, because that's just a typical Tuesday for those two. Now, as for Niv Mizzet himself, the great dragon that leads the guild, there's really only one emotion that he ever shows at any given point in time, and that is cockiness. Pure, unadulterated cockiness, where he thinks he's the greatest mind to have ever lived. And this is all told through his trademark smirk that you can easily see on Fireman's research, where he's, spoiler alert, plotting to revive himself after Nicobolus kills him. The same smirk you can see again in Niv Mizzet Param, and if you look even further back to his original artwork, that smirk is still there. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention the artwork for Sinister Sabotage, where it just shows the funniest way to show fear and surprisement and confusion as to why his device suddenly just blew up in his wrist with the Demir logo showing up. And a lot of fear, because it's the Demir and it means he's probably going to die soon. Now, I hope that from now on, if you look at a piece of artwork, whether it be magic art or any artwork, look at the face and look at to what emotion they're trying to portray, and what does the fact that they're showing emotion through their face say about the particular subject of the piece. Like, it's a lot easier to look at it here condensed in the Izzet League, since they're all psychotic scientific lunatics that are just whacked out insane. So it's easy to tell why they're showing emotion the way they're showing it through their facial expressions. But if you look at pieces from other guilds, or from other art in general, it might be a little more difficult and would take a little more analyzing from a viewer's perspective. But I very much encourage you to do so, because looking at the deeper levels of art and the connecting themes across most of them, it gives another layer of enjoyment from it. And if this series can do anything to you, other than, appreciating magic art as much as I personally appreciate it, it is to look at art from now on in a very different perspective, in a more analytical perspective, not to study it or to gain knowledge of it, but just simply to enjoy it at a much deeper level. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like and subscribe if you want to see the artworks of the following guilds, and after the guilds, I don't know, I might do the factions on Ixalan, or maybe some of the Gothic-inspired set pieces of Innistrad, or something, I don't know, figure it out, because that's still months away if I keep uploading at the schedule that I'm uploading at, which I apologize for, but it's just a lot of life's been getting in the way. But hopefully I get it all in a regulated schedule at some point, which I'm usually good with, but I'll figure it out. Well, I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!